decisive push. It's the signature aspect, really, of this race, this famous race now in its 46th edition. The Cascata climb begins, some 2.5 kilometers or so. A climb with 175 meters or so spike in altitude as well. Don't count that out as well. That's a factor at this stage, especially when now they've been skiing here for 67 kilometers or so. Tired bodies here as they begin. And let's see what Petter Eliasson here can do, particularly to the rest of the field. I think he's been waiting for this, around those twisting turns. Setting a good pace here early on up the climb. Can they respond, the Ragda Ayendam trio here? Or is Petter Eliasson here, even early on in the climb, looks so good, imperious up this early section.
Towards the add-on does not look that good. He is letting go here. It's Oscar Cardin chasing first, and then
maybe Cardin looks the best of the three of the Ragda Ayendam skiers in that early push. Looks at least a little bit more solid, but Petter Eliasson here has opened up the advantage. Wow. Look at this. Well, we talked about the return of the king in season 9 here, that the king is back when he won in Seefeld, and of course he's been top 5 in the other races. But what a little push here right from the start of the climb. It's almost like, Eric, there he was waiting for the start of it. It was like the phony war, if you like, before the start of the climb, and then he thought, hey, it's arrived, I'm going to get you now.
Yeah, but also looking at his race, he's been up in the front pretty much the whole race, skiing in front, pulling the other guys. And still, it looks like he is the strongest so far in the last climb.
He looks so smooth, like he's got so much in the tank still here.
He looked really good in those switchbacks, and yeah, there's no problem for him at this point.
Who can hang with him from Ragda Ayendam here at all?
Let's see, we have...
It's stretched a little bit again here.
Stretched a little bit. We have, it's 7 seconds. 7 seconds.
I mean, they're already looking here at damage limitation a little bit. They don't want to give any more up. Up the rest of the climb, those two. Here are his results. He's mentioned it many, many times to us in interviews, actually, where he kind of say, what's the goal when he was winning everything in vismaskiclassics? He said, I'd love a Marcialonga victory. That's the missing piece in many ways. Is it going to arrive here today for Petter Eliasson? If anything, now he's building that advantage up the climb. It's getting bigger.
It's getting bigger for sure.
Purely because he looks so strong and so smooth, and the others are struggling, to be honest, from what we can see of them, the Ragda Ayendam skiers, not just to live with him, but to get the best out of themselves up this climb as well. Just 1.4 kilometers to go now.
They have another switchback coming up here in a really steep section. But it looks strong. It's super steep. You can't
devouring the ground here.
You can't really see it in this TV angle, but it's really, really steep up this hill.
Yeah, I think
super strong.
I think you're absolutely right, Eric, that he's made his moves, setting the high speed, the pushes earlier in the course, I think are telling here, but just the way he's managing this climb.
And it looks like the gap is increasing as well. We didn't see them in the bottom there. We can look back to the right. There is the first one. And that looks like Nygård. Looks like a Nygård in second and Cardin in third.
Can Nygård here possibly just keep it to a few seconds, get it back to a few seconds at the moment here when they come towards the end of the climb? Because of course he'll fancy himself in the stages after that. He can really turn it on. And Eliasson wouldn't like that, but Eliasson here has opened up a good gap here, getting some encouragement from his pro team service staff here from Team BM Bank as well. He's all on his own, but he's managing it beautifully here, the Norwegian. Petter Eliasson, and can Andreas Nygård possibly just get a few seconds back on that lead now?
Because the second half of the climb actually fits Nygård better.
It's the profile, yes, the profile it's a little bit less steep.
Less steep, and especially the last 500-600 meters. But then he has to keep the distance short.
Yeah, here he is now, the winner from last weekend. He got the better of Eliasson, of course, there in his favoured sprint finish situation, and the rest of them.
No, but that is too far. It's more than 10 seconds. We have 10 seconds up where the coach is standing here on the left side. It's 15 seconds.
You're calling it now?
Yeah, I'm calling it.
1 kilometre to go here. Petter Eliasson, a kilometre away from the missing piece, really, in the jigsaw puzzle for him. Doesn't look like Andreas Nygård and Oscar Cardin, for that matter. They're going to have a good battle for the podium.
Yes.
the remaining positions, but it doesn't look like either of them here are going to be able to do anything, because just 900 meters left for Petter Eliasson, who won in the Kaiser Maximilian-Lauf, of course, a couple of weekends ago, but he won that race before. He's won pretty much everything else, but he's never won this race here. One of the real jewels in the crown, in the calendar, one of the most famous races in the sport. 800 meters to go now, and it looks like the Ragda Ironham duo are going to have to make do for the rest of the slots on the podium. They're going to come up short here. Petter Eliasson, what a beautiful race he's put together. Said that a few times, haven't we, over the last few years, but this particularly a work of art here in such a stunning part of the world, such a visually
23 seconds.
Brilliant part of the world here, and a brilliant course. 24 seconds now over Niergaard.
That is incredibly impressive. He is just skiing away with so much from them. They were together in the bottom of the hill, and now it's 24 seconds. That's like, it's huge.
Yeah, he could not have dreamt of this here, to have finally burned the rest of the field before. It's funny, you think of Tordash the Yadalen, where Petter Eliasson's coming through 600-700 meters to go, is where he's made the push much of the time to win his Marcialongas, but actually Petter Eliasson did it much before. He ultimately did it right at the start of the Cascata climb, where he opened up that lead, and it's now half a minute. It's enough, isn't it now?
Niergaard is still making a super impressive race for him. It's looking like placing second, but there's no one close to Petter Eliasson today.
No.
He's been leading most of the race, and he still has the most energy in the last uphill and just crushing the rest of the field.
It looks like he could do another 20-30 kilometers easy and stretch a lead over the rest of them here.
Yes, this is more like we saw in Maximilian-Lauf, when we are wondering who can beat this, and we're asking ourselves again, who can possibly beat this?
Now, it's a long old season, and things aren't decided for sure today. Looks like he's going to extend his lead in the race for the Hertz Yellow Champion bib. Not decisive, of course, but a component of the season, of the consistency that's required. But what about the race in itself? A race that he's never won, but it looks like that's going to change very, very shortly. He comes through, actually, where we did our morning report here, 300 meters or so through these little winding streets. It was funny, Eric, because this morning, of course, there was nothing there. It was just a calm. We call it the calm before the beautiful storm to come through. Well, they've had the storm in these parts. They've responded to that, and they've set up a beautiful race, the organisers. And now Petter Eliasson here. Well, it's not a beautiful storm for him. It's just a beautiful coming together of events, of a management of a race.
But he is skiing like a storm. Look at that. He's reached the top, and he's skiing through these narrow buildings, and he has just 200 meters to go, and they will for sure win this.
But there's nothing out of sync like a storm here. This is organised chaos.
Yes,
from Petter Eliasson here that he's inflicted on the rest of the field here. Yes. They feared him when he came back, the elite guys, and you know why. We've seen already with good reason, because this guy knows how to manage races as well as anyone. Yeah, he knows he's got it now. He knows finally that this race is going to be his. He's come so close over the last few years, Petter Eliasson, even when he was winning that Hertz Yellow Champion bib, and he comes through now. A tour de force from Petter Eliasson of Team BM Bank, his second victory of the season. He wins the Marcialonga for the first time in his career.
That